Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with blossominnerwellness.com and standtogetherhawaii.com. And also, this is on the Voice of Kona radio show, 100.5 FM, or you can just go to the Voice of Kona radio if you want to listen anywhere in the world. And I am here again with Margie and Jack Flynn of the Citizens of the American Constitution. And I'm super excited because today we're going to go step by step through the affidavit that I'm sending to, and many of us are sending to the governor, showing how he has violated his oath of office, perjured his oath of office. This template I got from this amazing couple, and they have been helping people with the Constitution and standing up for their rights. For what is it, 60 or 70 years? It's like been
70 over 60 for me. So
70 and over 60 for Margie. And this template is so incredible. It really helped me. It made it so easy for me to understand what are our rights and how do the people stand up to a government that is completely ignoring us and literally has gone rogue. So thank you so much for joining me, you two.
You're welcome. Thanks for
Pleasure to
having
be
us.
here. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
So I want to just start with, I'm going to just read it out. This is good. This is the affidavit to the Maui City Council. I have already done a video on the affidavit to the governor. This link for this affidavit that you can copy, and especially if you are in Maui and you were, or actually if you were somebody who submitted a testimony either online or through email and you said, no, we do not want the toxic waste dump at Alualu on Maui, and they completely ignored you, you're one of the people that can submit this. And I remember you guys said that anybody can submit an affidavit who has been harmed. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Okay, well, it can be harmed directly because this action that they want to do is going to be harmful to the people. Or it can be the fact that their rights have been harmed. Remember that government of right serves with the consent of the people. So when the people tell them, no, we don't want you to do such and such a thing, and they go right ahead and do it anyway, in spite of what their people have told them, then they have basically perjured their oaths to support the Constitution, and that means they have to support and uphold the rights of the people. It's the people's rights to say, no, we don't want this in our presence. And by ignoring that, they have basically defied the people, and they're showing a contempt and a disrespect for the people and for the constitutions that protect the rights of the people. See, our founders, when they put the Constitution together, that was the blueprint, so to speak, for government. And what the Constitution authorizes to government is all that government is authorized to do. Government is not authorized to do anything that offends the people, that violates the rights of the people and ignores the will of the people. And this is what the American people kind of lost along the way. And it was by design, because the system doesn't want the people to know their inherent political power, because then the system couldn't run amok and get away with the crap that it's gotten away with. So we came up with the approach of the affidavit a long time ago because it's powerful. It gives you a forum to state your case. And if you're speaking truth and fact and supported by valid law, which the Constitution is the most valid law, then the people to whom you send it have no defense because they have done the things that you're stating in your affidavit. So they can't excuse it. There's no reason. They can't say, well, it was Tuesday and I didn't feel like upholding my oath. You know, it's like a person who's married. Well, gee, I'm married, but if I want to go out with my buddies at the bar, I'll take my ring. I'm not married today. No, that's a violation of a sacred oath. Well, when a politician takes an oath, it's a sacred trust. They give the oath in exchange for the people's trust, the public trust. And they have betrayed the public trust by their actions. They are not thinking of what's good for the people. So the people have the right and the duty to inform their public servants. Remember, we the people are the masters, they are the servants. It's our duty to tell them. You know, if you had a person come in and clean your house and you weren't happy with the way the person washed the windows or vacuumed the floor, you would say to that person and instruct them, excuse me, but I noticed that this wasn't done correctly and I'd like you to do it this way. And if they don't do that, are you going to keep hiring them?
No, they get booted.
Give them the boot. That's right. Well, we have to give our politicians and bureaucrats the boot because they are not acting in our best interest. They are disrespectful and they are disobedient and disloyal. So it's time for us to put them in their places, and that is out of office and maybe even in jail. Okay?
The
I agree
politicians
with that
don't
last
give a
part.
damn about the people, and frankly never did, going back to the time of the American Revolution. I mean, the revolution was not what everyone thinks it is, okay? No, we're not going to go there at all. But the point is, from that time on, the politicians didn't give a damn about what the American people think. Now, anyone can write an affidavit on any matter whatsoever in which that person is involved or has been harmed or sees that someone else is being harmed. All right. So people across the world, certainly across America, have seen that the people in Lahaina have been harmed. Okay. Well, since the people in Lahaina have been harmed and their rights have been harmed by government directly, okay, then the people who witnessed that harm can write affidavits as well. Look, in the preamble to the Constitution, the government has a duty to protect the public welfare. That doesn't mean going down to your welfare office getting a check. I mean, I'm talking about the safety and the well-being of the entire society. And when government doesn't do that, which government never does, then people obviously have a right to write an affidavit to that government and call them out for their treason. And this is treason. Let's
Absolutely. Oh, murder. It's also absolute murder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What happened in Lahaina was deliberate murder. And if anybody can look askance at that and say, well, you know, it didn't happen here, so it's not a big deal. Oh, yes, it is. What happens to one of us happens to all of us. We have to remember that when one American's rights are violated, when one American is harmed, we are all violated and harmed. So we have to think of ourselves, you know, to own a family. We have to realize we are the human family. We happen to be Americans in the human family. And our country is supposed to be the best country in the world. Right now, it's one of the worst because of what it's doing. You don't want to go off point, but you know what's happening all over the world. And we're party to it as a nation.
Party.
So we have to stop it. We have to stop being silent. We have to stop complying with this insanity. And we have to put these miscreants on notice that they have perjured their oaths, they violated the Constitution, they violated our rights. We're not going to take it, and we're going to remove them. We're going to use our lawful inherent political power to remove these criminals from office. They don't deserve to hold any public office.
I absolutely 100% agree. So this affidavit, you guys, is absolutely brilliant. I've gotten so many people writing me saying, oh my God, this is so great. This is so outstanding. I'm like, I didn't write this. So let me just go over, I'm going to go over one paragraph at a time and you guys can explain it. So the first paragraph is, you state your name, domiciled, which means where you live, you put where your address is, a living, breathing flesh and blood. And for me, I would say woman on the land, we the people, not a U.S. citizen, not a municipal citizen, not a person, not a corporation, not a vessel, an American citizen with and claiming all my inherent, unalienable, constitutionally secured rights with my name properly spelled only in upper and lowercase letters. The undersigned make this affidavit/declaration of truth of my own free will, and I hereby affirm, declare, and swear under my oath and under the pains and penalties of perjury under the laws of the United States of America, of this state, that I am of legal age and of sound mind, and hereby attest that the statements, adverments, and information contained in this affidavit/declaration are true and correct to the best of my knowledge. That's the first paragraph, you guys. So, so can you please explain to people who are going, Michelle, what do you mean you're not a person and you're not a citizen, U.S. citizen and a municipal citizen? Can you please explain what that means?
Sure, Maggie can do that. But first of all, this is our status statement. Right. We are declaring who and what we are and to what we are entitled pursuant to the constitutional guarantees guaranteed to every American citizen. Okay, go ahead.
All right. The reason we use the specific language that we do, and we say we're not a person or a vessel, is because when the sleight of hand that was accomplished by some very treasonous and duplicitous representatives, in quotes, of the American people, was accomplished in stealth. They created what we call specialized terms, terms of art, legalese. So when you say person, you think one thing, you're thinking of a regular, human being. They're not. They're thinking of another meaning for that. It's a corporatized terminology, as if you are a corporate fiction, a person of fiction. Okay. So, in order to dispel that, because all of those associations, US citizen, municipal citizen, vessel person, what have you, they are associated with the very misleading language that's included in Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, because that section implies, but it's not true, but it implies that all Americans are US citizens. However, that section applied only to the Black slaves who were freed right after the War of Northern Aggression, which some people call the Civil War. Okay, it doesn't apply to all Americans. If you are a native of this country, if you were born on American soil, and that includes Hawaii, you are not a US citizen. You're an American citizen or an American national, and you are a Hawaiian citizen or a Hawaiian national. So we dispel those myths right off the bat. Any presumption, false presumption, that the entity or the governments that we're writing to might hold or think they're going to hold against us, we tell them right up front, no. We're living, breathing flesh and blood on the land. That means we are citizens of the country as a whole and not citizens of DC, which is a foreign entity, a corporate entity that has corporatized all of the governments of the counties and cities and states and even school departments to the point that they're extracting funds on every level possible, and the funds do not benefit the people in any way whatsoever. So that's why we say those things in that manner. It's to dispel any terms of art, legalese, that people innocently use and don't realize that they're harming themselves by using them. Okay.
See,
I
a
love it.
US citizen is different from an American citizen.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
An American citizen, which we are, which you are, which most people are, but they don't know it. An American citizen is guaranteed all rights granted to
All the
him.
inherent
Okay.
rights
Inherent rights granted to him.
by the
Okay.
Creator.
Confirmed to him by the Constitution in the original
No,
Constitution.
not granted.
We are the benefactors of all rights and all due process of law under the original Constitution, which means we are guaranteed to have all of our rights upheld by that Constitution, which means not only our rights, but all the articles of the Constitution, as well as the preamble to the Constitution. US citizens are totally different. US citizens are citizens of DC, which is a private corporation. It's not part of the United States of America, just like the Vatican is not part of Rome or Italy, or the City of London, the interior city of London, is a corporation and not part of England. So DC, District of Columbia, which we call District of Criminals, is a private corporation, not part of the United States. Therefore, if you are a US citizen, you are a citizen of that corporation. And if you are a citizen of that corporation, you have absolutely no rights guaranteed to you by the Constitution. You are outside the Constitution. We are inside the Constitution. Most people who don't understand the difference, or US citizens are outside the Constitution, not entitled to Constitution rights and not guaranteed constitutional rights. The only guarantee you have, okay, is by Congress. And Congress can grant those privileges to you and those immunities to you, which is mentioned in the 14th Amendment, but Congress can also withdraw them. So people have to understand the difference between US citizens and American citizens. And when we talk about vessel, not a corporation or what have you, these are all terms of art to show that you are a US citizen not entitled to constitutional rights. So That's the difference right there. And people really have to understand
And
that.
also because the government of DC operates under admiralty or maritime law, so the word vessel has a very charged meaning. They're looking at the people as if they are merchants, commerce, ships, okay? So we don't use any of those terms. And that very first paragraph sets the tone, as Jack said earlier, declares our status and who we are and in what status we are writing to these public servants who work for us.
And
Okay?
I
remember,
love it.
as Margie said earlier, and as the Declaration of Independence states, government of right serves with the consent of the governed.
That's right.
Okay. Government of wrong serves without the consent of the government. All right.
Okay.
And every jurisdiction in this country, every political jurisdiction in this country, federal, state, local,
County,
yeah, whatever you want to call it, city, I don't care
Doesn't
what you
matter.
call it, none of them, I mean, none of them uphold the Constitution, the constitutional rights and due process guaranteed therein to the people. And this includes the courts. Courts do not uphold due process of law at all. And the courts spit on the Constitution. They can't stand the Constitution. You probably saw the motions in limine that we passed out from a court in Illinois. We sent them to you. Maybe you haven't seen them yet. Anyway, the courts are totally anti-constitutional, just as the government is anti-constitutional. So there's not one jurisdiction in this country that upholds the Constitution, but every jurisdiction in this country upholds communism, okay, and enforces communism upon their own people. So the American people must understand they don't live in a constitutional republic anymore. They live in a communist country.
But it's an unlawful situation.
And so the affidavit that, because this is the affidavit that I'm sending to this Maui City Council for totally ignoring the people that are saying, do not put the toxic waste at Alualu. This is the power that we have, and standing for and bringing the court system, or actually not even the court system, but them, the Maui City Council, back into alignment with their constitutional oath of office.
Yes, that's correct. The only authority they have is delegated to them in the Constitution by and through the people. We, the people, give them that authority. When they misuse it, when they abuse it, okay, when they exceed it in any way, they're perjuring their oaths and they're acting against the will and best interest of the people, because we didn't give them permission to do this. We gave them a limited amount of our power and to operate the machinery of government. And when they don't do it according to our will, then they are criminal in their actions and they need to be removed.
In this particular situation, the Maui Council, City Council, whatever you want to call it, the state of Hawaii, okay, because it goes right up the chain. It's not all at the council, it goes right up the chain to the governor, to the legislature, and to what the US government wants to do on Maui, okay? So it goes well beyond the city council. None of them are abiding by the will of the people. So none of them are government of right, because right now, without the action having taken place, they've already put preparations for the destruction to take place.
They're assuming it.
Yes.
And look, the bottom line is they've already planned it, all right? And they're assuming they can do it because the people aren't going to do a damn thing. And if the people do anything, the council is going to say, the hell with you. We're going to do what we want. You have no power over us.
You're exercising
so
your power.
That is government of wrong. That is not government of right. Okay. That's an evil government. And we don't need an evil government of wrong. We need a government of right. The only way you're going to get a government of right is by and through the power and the actions of the people. Right. There's no savior that's going to come down from the sky. No. There's no white hat who's going to jump up from a
we are the white hats. The people are the white hats. Exactly.
We're our own heroes. And this is the ability that the people have to express themselves. And the affidavit is the best way to do that, because it's a sound, lawful, and legal document that puts your opponents on notice, gives them an opportunity to rebut if they can truthfully do so, and they cannot. So they won't, and they will tacitly admit, and then you have their tacit admissions to use against them. And believe me, we need to see hordes of people, not only in Hawaii, every place else doing this to their city councils, to their county councils, and all the other aspects of government, which has become nothing but an administrative corporation. And it's choking the life out of the people, and the people
Correct.
have sat by and done nothing. This is your chance to stand up and be counted. Okay.
So I want to read the second paragraph. So this next paragraph, part of it, let me just read it and then I'll explain it.
Sure.
This affidavit / declaration of truth is lawful notification to you and is hereby made and sent to you pursuant to the original national constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, in particular these are the violations of their oath that you put in. So I'm going to give you guys the template. If you're watching, the template is in the description along with Citizens of America, Margie and Jack Flynn's website to learn more and to also go on to their constitutional learning class. But this next section is where you put what have they violated. So it says, the Bill of Rights, in particular, the First Amendment relating to free speech and the right to petition the government with redress of grievances, the Ninth Amendment with guaranteed unenumerated rights, Section 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment to the National Constitution, and the Bill of Rights of the Hawaii Constitution, in particularly Article 1, Section 1, and Article 16, Section 4. And these are the articles and the sections of the violations to their oath of office. And I'll just explain them very briefly, and then we'll go on to the next paragraph. So the first one, that the Maui City Council has perjured all political power of this state is inherent in the people, and the responsibility for the exercise therefore rests with the people. All government is founded on this authority. And then, of course, their oath of office that basically states that they swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Hawaii. And then we have, and I already stated Section 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment. So the next paragraph I want to do that I want you guys to respond to is this next paragraph. The original organic Constitution for the United States of America, circa 1787, as amended with the Bill of Rights 1791, established the United States of America as a constitutional republic, not a democracy, you guys, a constitutional republic. And this Constitution, as the supreme law of the land, and again, this is going to the Maui City Council, your unconstitutional actions requires your written rebuttal to me in kind, specific to each and every point of the subject matter stated herein, within 15 days, sometimes you can do 30, I'm giving them 15 days, via your own sworn and notarized affidavit using true fact, valid law, and evidence to support your rebuttal of the specific subject matter stated in this affidavit / declaration. You are hereby noticed that your failure to respond as stipulated and rebut with particularity and specificity anything with which you disagree in this affidavit / declaration is your lawful, legal, and binding tacit agreement with an admission to the fact that everything in this affidavit / declaration is true, correct, legal, lawful, and fully binding upon you in any court in America without your protest or objection and that of those who represent you. And this, then it gives, it states the where this is founded. I believe it's a case, U.S. versus Twill, and I'll ask you guys about that. Silence can only be equated with fraud, where there is a legal or moral duty to speak, or where an inquiry left unanswered would be intentionally misleading.
Correct.
So can you guys speak on that last paragraph? The original organic Constitution. I love that language.
Okay, that we use that language because it is a statement of fact. The original organic Constitution, the one that was drawn up way back when at the Constitutional Convention, is the Constitution for the United States of America. That is the land, and that is we the people. Okay, we the people decided we wanted our government to be put together in a certain way, and we used this instrument to do that. Okay, that's why we call it that. In 1871, the Organic Act came about, which was very deceptively named, and it changed one word in the Constitution. It renamed it the Constitution of the United States, okay? Not the Constitution for the United States of America, because that secondary corporate constitution was essentially a corporate charter for the corporation
And
that is
non-organic
DC. It is not organic, it's a corporation, okay? And as such, it was a counterfeit that was supposed to make people think it was the same. Oh, they just changed a word. The intention behind that constitution was to corporatize everything under a system that with the federal corporate government at the top, and then bringing in all the states and the counties and cities and towns and divisions and departments thereof under this big mega corporation. That's what they've done. They did it without any lawful authority because it was unconstitutional. The Congress that allowed this act to pass had already sworn an oath to the original organic constitution, and they betrayed and perjured that oath by that act. So that act is a nullity in terms of true law. But because the people didn't understand the difference, they never said a word. They just went along because it looked the same, but it's not the same. Okay.
So we have two constitutions.
That's right. And the
Yes.
original one is the one that we cite because that's the one that's valid. That's the one that's real. And to that constitution in 1791, the Bill of Rights was officially added on. Okay. Because some of the founders recognized that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they knew they had to put a safeguard in for the people because the ones running the machinery of government was sly. And they knew that the people were busy with their lives. They were farming, they were raising a family, running a business, what have you. So they wouldn't necessarily be able to go to meetings and pay that much attention. So how would they know if things were going awry? So they put that provision, the protection of their rights, so the people would have a legitimate means to go to government and say, no, this is wrong. And in the First Amendment, and the reason it's the first, we're guaranteed the freedom of speech to say what we mean and mean what we say, and the right to redress our grievances to government, which means when government screws up, when government harms us in any way, we have the right and the duty as the de jure government to go to the officials running the machinery of government and tell them, no, you cannot do that. You are outside of the limits of your lawful delegated authority from we the people. We do not permit this. We do not allow it, and we're not going to exonerate you. You reverse your behavior or you're out of office. We have to take back our power, and we, as a people, we haven't really realized or comprehended just how powerful we are as beings.
So I have a question about that. When you say redress of grievances to the government, see, what I'm feeling like is they're letting us speak, but they just ignore us. So yeah, oh yeah, you guys redressed us. Yeah, you told us what you were unhappy with, and now we're going to do this over here. Right. They can't
They're
do
ignoring
that.
Something very important. Their only authority is constitutional. If they do something that's outside of the Constitution, they have no authority. They're rogues, they're crooks, they're criminals, okay? They're bullies. So when the people realize that they're doing something outside of the Constitution, it's incumbent on the people to step up and say, no, you cannot do that because that violates the Constitution and it violates our rights. So you just purged your oath, dude, you're out. You vacated your office. You blew your opportunity to serve the public. But the people don't know their power. They think government can do anything it wants whenever it wants because it's government, and that is not the case. Our founders deliberately put government in a box, a constitutional box, but it's up to we, the people, as the true government, to keep them in that box because they're not going to police themselves. So we have to do it for them and for ourselves.
Remember, we spoke a little while ago about government of right. Government of right serves with the consent of the government.
Yes, of the governed.
Yeah, excuse me, the government.
Yeah, right.
Government of right serves with the consent of the governed, meaning the people. Right. Government of wrong, okay, serves without the consent of the people. So when the government hears what the people have to say, meaning they're hearing the right to free speech, but the government acts against that free speech, that's government of wrong, acting against the will of the people. Okay, therefore, they have no authority. The government has no authority to act outside of the lawful scope of their duty and violate the Constitution, violate their oaths, and violate the will of the people. All right, but it's up to the people to make certain that they hold that government responsible for their actions.
Absolutely.
Now, it's very important that in this section, or the section coming up, that when people make their charges, their claims, their statements, their averments, all of these, okay? All of these must be based in truth, fact, valid law, meaning the Constitution, and evidence, all right?
Mhm.
All of these statements must be backed by truth, fact, law, and evidence. That's the only thing Margie and I use in court. We don't use emotion. We don't use education. We don't use philosophy. We only use what I stated, okay? Now, the opponent, meaning the city council in this case, is required to rebut
Yes.
everything you have stated in your affidavit, all right, by means of their own sworn and notarized affidavit, rebutting everything that you have charged them with based in truth, fact, law, and evidence. Well, it's common sense that if you are based in truth, fact, valid law, and evidence, that no one can rebut what you're saying and use truth, fact, law, and evidence to rebut you. Now, we've written lots of affidavits. Our people have written lots of affidavits, okay? Tens of thousands, maybe over 100,000 by now. Not one affidavit has ever been rebutted by any public official. Not one out of all those affidavits. All right. Why? Because they can't. How in God's name are they going to rebut your charges, which are solidly based and proven to exist in truth, fact, law, and evidence, and then rebut your charges and rebut your charges and support their charges in truth, fact, law, and evidence? It's an impossibility. So they don't do it, which means that everything you have stated in your affidavit, all of your charges, all of your claims, all of your statements of averments are true and fully binding upon the writer, okay, or the recipient, I should say, okay, fully binding upon him in any court in this country without his protest or objection, which means he's not even going to protest before the court, and that of his representative, meaning his lawyer. So these are very powerful documents if they're done correctly. Very powerful.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to the, thank you for that. That's what makes this so powerful. Because I have felt like, oh my gosh, what do we do? You know, I told you guys started doing this activism work and really frustrated about, well, what can we do? I was always like, what can we do? And you guys, this is the what we can do part. So your governor, like New Mexico, I think we're trying to take away the right to bear arms. So this is what you can do. So the next paragraph reads, the original organic constitution for the United States of America, circa 1787, as amended with the Bill of Rights 1791, established the United States of America as a constitutional republic. I think I read that one already. Actually, okay, sorry, you guys. Let me do the next one. You have blatantly evaded your sworn constitutional duties and unlawfully uphold lesser law superior to the Constitution. Thus, as stated above, you act outside of the constitutional republic, outside the Constitution, outside your limited delegated authority, and war against the Constitution and the people. Therefore, you are a domestic enemy to this nation and her people, pursuant to the self-executing sections 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment. And I'll have you guys explain what that is. You have vacated your office upon the commission of your crimes, cannot conduct any business or of office, and all of your actions are null and void, without force and effect whatsoever. Further, you have forfeited all benefits of your former office, including salary and pension. You are constitutionally prohibited from receiving public funds and can no longer hold any public office in this nation. So what are the sections 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment?
Okay. Sections 3 and 4 pertain to public officials who have taken oaths to support and defend the Constitution. And what Section 3 says is that any time a public official, and I'm paraphrasing here, when a public official violates the Constitution in any way by his actions or any deed that he's done that goes against the Constitution and against the best interests of the people, he purges his oath on the commission of that action because it's a crime. Okay. And because he's done that, he vacates his office. And Section 4 says that anybody who has perjured his oath and has vacated his office forfeits any benefits of that office, including salaries and pensions, because they are unfit to receive public funds. They are constitutionally prohibited. Anytime anybody goes against his oath and goes against the Constitution, he is no longer eligible to hold an office. he's considered basically an outsider. He cannot hold office and he cannot be paid by public funds. So all these guys are being paid by public funds.
Yes, they are.
And they have stepped outside of the lawful scope of their limited delegated duties and authority that was given to them by we the people, because they have ignored we the people, or they have not acted in accordance with their oath. Therefore, they vacated their office by the commission of that action, and they are unfit to receive any further public funds. They must be removed because they are incapable of holding office. That's what those two sections mean. And they're very important because it is a constitutional remedy for unconstitutional actions on the part of public officials. Okay, a constitutional remedy for unconstitutional actions committed by public officials. And this is happening. Unconstitutional actions by public officials happen every day, everywhere in this country, because the American people do not know their rights and do not know their political power. And they don't know the limitations that our constitutions impose on every public official. So this is why we do an affidavit. This is why we're trying to promote the idea amongst the people. You have the power, and this is the way you can express and act upon that power. It's that simple, really. These two sections are very, very useful when you want to lawfully remove a public official who has perjured his oath and has harmed the people in any way. Okay.
And I wanted to jump. Go ahead.
People
Go ahead,
are
Jack.
familiar with what is happening to Trump right now. We are not Trump supporters. We were last time, okay? We're not Trump supporters now because he didn't do the job he was supposed to do, all right? So we don't support anyone running for president. But the bottom line here is various states across the country are trying to remove Trump based upon sections 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment, by saying he committed insurrection on January 6th.
Oh my gosh. I'm not following that. Oh my God.
He committed insurrection on January 6th. And they can't prove that he committed insurrection on January 6th. But what can be proven is that every politician in this country, bar none, has invoked sections 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment, because every one of them, okay, every one of them has lawfully vacated his office pursuant to the fact that he committed unconstitutional actions against the people, supported unconstitutional actions that harmed the people, therefore is lawfully out of office and forfeits all pensions, salaries, benefits, what have you, okay? Every one of them. But what are the people doing about it? Zero.
Well, we're doing something now. I'm super excited because I don't think it's too late. I believe in America. There's so many people that say, well, what do I do? This is what to do, you guys. And don't fear your government. When you fear your government, that's when we have tyranny. That's when we have communism. When the government fears us, that's when we have freedom. And that is, I can't remember where that quote came from, but
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson. So let me go on to the next one. So this is an affidavit, you guys. The link is in the description. Click on it. Follow the template with your own official. This is your power. Get your friends and buddies to do this with you, because the more the better. And then at the end of this video, I do want Margie and Jack to share the steps, because you do want to submit this I heard you have to submit it 3 times, like 15 days or the 30 days. You do it again, and then you
don't have to do that.
Okay.
Once is enough. They have the opportunity to respond to you within the 15 days or 30 days, whatever you give them. If they fail to do that, we always give a few extra days just to allow for mail or whatever, and then the next step.
What you're talking about with the 15 days, that's a commercial application.
We don't do that.
We don't deal in commercial applications at all. We only deal in constitutional applications. And as Margie says, once is sufficient. If they don't rebut, then they admit to everything, fully binding, et cetera, et cetera.
We presume they can read, and if they can't read, and if they don't understand what the law of the land has to say and how it limits their actions and dictates what they can and cannot do, that's on them. Too bad. They should be in office anyway.
Good to go. And then so after, and I do want to finish this affidavit, but one more thing. After that 15 days or 30 days, whatever you choose to give them, what's the next step for people?
Okay, it depends on what they want to do. Once you have the tacit admissions, by their failure to respond, you can, if you want to, notify a police officer or a sheriff if you have one, and tell them that you want this person removed from office for their crimes against the Constitution and the people. You sent them an affidavit, you gave them an opportunity to respond. They failed to do so. They were told that if they failed to do so, they would admit. So they have admitted, therefore they've admitted to the crime of perjuring their oaths and violating the Constitution, which is insurrection. Okay, therefore, they are to be removed from office. It's a lawful act that any police officer or sheriff can execute. Okay, that's one option. The other option is you can take these people to court. You can sue them. And you would sue them by filing a complaint, which is a document that states the claims and charges that you have against this entity and why you're bringing the matter to court. It's created a controversy, and you're saying that they've done something wrong to you and you want the court to adjudicate in your favor, to decide for you. Well, the affidavits that you have written to these people support what you're going to say in your complaint. So you would speak in the complaint of what they did wrong. You would speak in the complaint of how you notified them of their wrongful actions, gave them an opportunity to rebut them if they could. They failed to do so, so they have admitted. And their admissions means that there is no controversy for the court to hear. So once they've been notified of the suit and they have an opportunity to respond, they can either file an answer or a motion to dismiss, which is what most of them would do through a lawyer. Then you can petition the court. You can go back to the court and make a motion for what's called a summary judgment. And a summary judgment is when a case is decided in your favor, when there is no controversy left for the court to hear. Since these people have already admitted by their silence that they did completely commit these acts, and they did it of their own volition because they're supposed to be public officials, one would presume they would know what they were doing, then the court doesn't have to decide a controversy because they've already said, well, yeah, by their silence, we did this. So the decision should go to the people. And that's another option. You can do that as well. And some people do both, okay? Because what they did is it's
illegal,
a crime, and it's unlawful and illegal. And it also harmed the rights of the people. So the people have a right to seek some kind of compensation for the damages done to them and their rights. Because our rights are precious. They come to us from our creator. They're not something that government gave us, and our constitutions do not give us our rights. They recognize our rights and they secure and guarantee them to us because they understand that we are sovereign. And the reason we're sovereign is that we are children of the creator. And King George, the tyrant that was our country's king before we became a nation, when our country became a nation, he gave and ceded his sovereignty to the people of America. We, the people, are sovereign, not the machinery of government, okay? So when you go up against them, you have to know that you have the lawful right to do this, you have the lawful duty to do it, and you have the power and authority that's inherent in you to stand up against these thugs, because that's what they are.
That's what they are.
They have usurped any rightful operations in government and turned it into a racket that's pernicious to the people, making money off the back and the sweat of the people. And it's time for the people to stand up and reclaim their rights, hold these people accountable, try them, put them in jail, hang them, whatever has to be done. It's time for the people to reclaim America.
Now let's talk about the existing realities in this country, okay? There is no sheriff in this country. There is no cop. There is no law enforcement officer. There is no attorney general, district attorney who is going to act upon a complaint brought to him by a citizen to go and arrest someone because he violated his oath. All right. You got to remember, folks, America is controlled by a very strong cartel. All right.
Yes.
And it's absolute evil. Absolute evil. Okay. We can get into that some other time. But it is.
We should.
You should know that it's absolute evil. And if you're going against absolute evil, you have to be aware it's absolute evil. If you go in as a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed person, naive, thinking that the government is going to accord you your rights just because you're pretty and you show up, you've got something,
You're mistaken.
you've got
Yes.
something
Yeah.
to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact is this: everything is corporate, as we've said
Yes.
before. Everything. You're not in the corporation. The people are not in the corporation. They don't get the corporate benefits. Only those in the corporation get the corporate benefits. So if you go to a sheriff, and there are none in Hawaii, or if there are,
No,
they're
correct. No, there are not.
okay. So if you go to a cop or a police chief or what have you, he's going to say, "Get the hell out of here. I'm not going to act against the city
governor.
council. Are you
Or
crazy?
Or the city
mob.
council. Yeah.
You need a mob.
You don't have any power. You have nothing. Okay, get out of here. Okay. Now, if 1,000 people do this, all right, then all of a sudden you have strength in numbers.
Yes.
It's a different category. But unfortunately, very few people are willing to work together in common unison for common benefit. Most people only want to work for private benefit. We have to get out of that and get into general benefit, societal benefit, constitutional benefit that's going to benefit the entire society. Okay. Now, if you have strength in numbers and you go to that cop or that police chief or that DA, he might be frightened enough and concerned enough to take action against the city council.
Yes.
Second, all courts in this country are corrupt courts. They're corrupt, they're unconstitutional, they're anti-constitutional, anti-due process of law, they're criminal, and they're evil. Okay? They're as bad or worse than your government. So going to a corrupt, evil court for relief is not going to give you anything unless you do it the constitutional way, the way we've done it, okay, the way the founding fathers designed it, and we've only put it together to work in this
Modern world here.
modern world, so to speak. Okay. When we go to court, the first thing you do is establish yourself before you go to court by and through the power of the affidavit. So when you write an affidavit and the opponent has not rebutted, as we've said before, as we've agreed, the opponent admits to and agrees with all of the statements, averments, and charges contained in that affidavit, fully binding upon him in any court in America without his protest, objection, or that of those who represent him. Okay? So the unrebutted affidavit stands as fact and truth before the court. Very important. Stands as fact and truth before the court. The only thing that can rebut an affidavit is a rebuttal affidavit that is based in truth, fact, law, and evidence. Okay? Your affidavit is based in truth, fact, law, and evidence. A rebuttal affidavit is not. Okay? So the rebuttal affidavit, even if it's written, cannot refute or rebut anything you've stated in your affidavit. So again, an unrebutted affidavit stands as fact and truth before the court. Now, we don't trust the judge at all. Okay, we have no trust for the system. It's total evil. So the judge you're going against is total, complete evil. Even though he might
act nice.
Yeah, he might be polite and courteous to you. No, he's consummate evil because he represents a consummate evil system. Therefore, anyone who represents a consummate evil system is evil. He can pretend to be nice, but he's evil. Okay? So no trust at all. As soon as that judge convenes that court, he'll go to the U.S. attorney and ask him if the government's ready to proceed. Then he'll come to us, and Mr. Flynn, Mrs. Flynn, or whoever is speaking for our position, are you ready to proceed? It's no, sir, not at this time. We have some matters to clarify before we go further. And we have that right under due process of law. If that joker sitting on the bench doesn't know us, okay, he will say, go right ahead. Usually, I mean, 99% of the time, he says, go right ahead. And we say immediately, you and the U.S. attorney have taken oaths to support the national and state constitutions. I just made a statement based on truth, fact, law, and evidence. We don't ask questions in court. We make statements, and then we ask confirming questions. Stop it, please. And then ask confirming questions to those statements, okay? We will ask, is that correct? All right? As soon as he answers yes, which invariably they do, we'll go right on to the next position. You and the U.S. Attorney are constitutionally mandated to abide by those oaths and the performance of your official duties, especially those before this court. Another statement based in truth, fact, law, and evidence. Is that correct? As soon as we get the yes answer to that, the affirmative answer to that, we have essentially won our case. Why? Because we have unofficially converted the court, not officially, but unofficially converted that court into an Article 3 court in which the Constitution prevails, okay? The Constitution is guaranteed to the American people, all right? That's the law of the land. We know the Constitution better than the joker sitting on the bench. So anytime he or the U.S. Attorney, who doesn't know the Constitution from Adam, goes out of constitutional positions, we remind the judge of his statement given on the public record in this court. Okay, public record means it's available for anyone and anyone to see and understand. We remind him of that, okay, and ask him if he wants to reconsider. And if he reconsiders, he goes right back into the constitutional box and we win the case. We've won some major cases. I mean, major cases that no one has ever won. And we've won minor cases, okay? We won cases in the middle. And so have our people by using these positions. Now, the main thing here is that it's an unfortunate position that the American people don't know their Constitution, don't know their rights, don't know due process of law. There are exceptions, obviously. Some people do. But the vast majority of people, if we personify the society would not know anything about the Constitution.
And that's by design. That's totally, they
Yes.
don't want
Yes,
us.
it is.
Yeah, correct.
It is by design because they have not educated the people at all or turned the people in that direction. They've turned them away from the Constitution.
Yes.
Okay? So if we don't know the Constitution, we're not going to be able to prevail in court. And the American people don't know the Constitution. That's
Yeah.
why we did this constitutional teaching series. It's
Mhm.
20 hours long, 10 episodes. It's available on our website for free.
I'll
Everything.
put that link in the description.
Yes. And if the American people could understand what we and our people have done, we've won thousands of cases against this evil system. Okay. We would like everyone to win thousands or millions of cases against this evil system. But if you don't know your rights and you don't know how to deal in court and you hire an attorney, you're dead in the water because the attorneys represent the system. Okay. They're put into business by the system. They're beholden to the system for their existence.
Yes.
So when it comes to representing the fellow that the attorney is hired to represent, okay, and it comes to placating the system, where do you think the attorney is going to go? He's going to placate the system and throw the client down the river. Now, there are exceptions to this. There are some good attorneys out there, and I don't want to insult all attorneys, especially the good ones, but the bad ones, yeah, they're no damn good. They're just whores for the system. That's all they are. All right, go ahead. I know.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it. You know, I want to do the next paragraph, and then I want to tell people the constitutional, how the Maui City Council has perjured their oath. So the next part of this affidavit of declaration states the truth of this matter under oath. If you disagree with the truth, then okay, this is about them rebutting it, and I've already said that in another paragraph. Let me go through how the City Council has perjured their oath. The First Amendment to the original national constitution, you violated 2 positions secured in the First Amendment. And Margie, I'm using part of what you helped me with this part. The first, you violated 2 positions secured in the First Amendment. First, you did not listen to the grievances contained in the people's free speech. Second, pursuant to the right to petition the government for redress of grievances and have those grievances resolved. See, that's the key that they don't that they're ignoring. You have to resolve these issues. You can't just ignore it. You violated this other position of the First Amendment. You let the people speak but did not take their words seriously and took no action to resolve the matter in accordance with the will of the people. So I'm just going to go through what how they have violated their oaths, and then I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this. The second one is the violation of the 9th Amendment to the original national constitution. You violated the 9th Amendment, which guarantees unenumerated rights. All American citizens can expect that their public officers will abide by their oaths in the performance of their official duties and abide by the will of the people. This is unenumerated right guaranteed in the 9th Amendment that we claim all the time. Further, government has no constitutional authority whatsoever to pollute the ground, the water, the plants, anything else, but that is exactly what you will be doing by passing Bill 120, which they did, which is against the will of the people. The next one is number 3, violation of the Bill of Rights of the Hawaii Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, political power. This states all political power of this state is inherent in the people, and the responsibility for the exercise thereof rests with the people. All government is founded on this authority. And then the 4th violation is the 14th Amendment to the original national constitution, and the one that Margie and Jack already spoke about, the sections 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment. You acted against the will and the best interests of the people, so harmed the people. Thus, you have committed insurrection, which is treason. Therefore, invoked the section 3 and vacated your office, and pursuant to section 4 of the 14th Amendment, and forfeited all benefits thereof, including salaries, pensions. And so this and are prohibited from receiving public funds. And then the last part of this part is pursuant to Article 6, clauses 2 and 3, and this is a question I have for you both, of the National Constitution. You are bound by oath to this Constitution and constitutionally mandated to uphold the Constitution as the supreme law over other form or lesser law, including but not limited to any form of state statutes, codes, regulations, policies, etc. Your oath, Maui City Council people, your oath was given in exchange for the public trust, yet you betrayed that trust when you ignored the will of the people whom you theoretically represent. You have no constitutional authority to oppose and violate the very documents to which you swore or affirmed your oath, swore or affirmed your oath, nor to violate the will of the people. You are the de jure government. Your oath requires you to uphold the public trust and faithfully represent the people you claim to serve, and not the powerful vested interests who would profit at the expense of the people. So then the very last part of this is I am a living woman, a Hawaiian citizen dwelling on Hawaii in the United States of America. And I'm going to leave the link so you guys can read the rest of this, but that is the gist. And let me just see if there's anything else that I want you guys to talk about. Nope, everything else is pretty much what you guys have already stated. And for those of you who want to see the affidavit, use it for the Maui City Council, please do so. There's a section to add your own testimony. What is it, how you've been harmed. You can even add your testimony in there. But you guys have anything you want to say in regards to that? And I did have a question about the section Article 6, clause 2 and 3.
Article 6 is known as the supremacy clause because Article 6 and clause 2 says that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Now, supreme means the top dog. Nothing can be above the supreme law. It also says that all public officials must take oaths to the Constitution, that they are bound by those oaths to this Constitution, and thus must uphold the Constitution as the supreme law over every other lesser law, including all state laws, federal laws, city and county codes, all of those things. The Constitution is the supreme law. Now, when other laws are made in pursuance of the Constitution, meaning they comply in letter and spirit with what the Constitution dictates to government, then it's okay. Those laws can stand. But when those laws deprive people of their rights, when those rights are violated by and through any of those laws or statutes or codes, those codes, statutes, regulations, what have you, fall away to the superior authority of the national Constitution. That's what the Article 6, clauses 2 and 3 means. And
Okay.
all public officials are bound by that clause to uphold the Constitution as the supreme law. They don't, so they're all criminals. They're all acting in insurrection and in treason.
Look, the bottom line here is that all jurisdictions, including Hawaii and the City Council of Lahaina, uphold lesser law superior to the Constitution.
Mhm.
They're
Yes,
upholding their state law codes, rules, and regulations,
correct.
most of them which are totally unconstitutional, don't even have enabling clauses for the most
Nope.
part, oppose the rights of the people all the time, yet they hold those laws or statutes above the Constitution. No, that's improper. Remember, they have the Hawaii City Council or
Whatever,
Lahaina City
whatever it
Council
is, Maui.
has no constitutional authority or any other form of valid authority to oppose the very documents to which they swore their oaths.
Yes,
So the state constitution and the supreme constitution, okay, the supreme law of that constitution supersedes everything. So they must uphold their oath to that constitution and the supremacy clause of that constitution, and not the lesser law that they use all the time. All right. And as Margie said, unless that law is in compliance, meaning the state law is in compliance with the Constitution, it's null and void. It has no
correct.
force or effect whatsoever. So they all, I mean, I don't care what jurisdiction in the country you're talking, they all uphold lesser laws superior to the Constitution. That's what the people have to reverse.
And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that the people have allowed this to happen. I don't want to get off on that tangent, but I want you folks that are watching this to think about that. If the people of this country were to educate themselves and recognize the power and strength of the Constitution, the power and strength of them, and that we, the people, are the de jure government, not the city council, not the president of the country, not the governor of the state. We, the people, are the
Correct.
de jure, meaning true, of law, de jure, of law. We are the lawful government. We have the right and the duty to tell our public servants running the machinery what we want them to do and what we will not allow them to do. By and through an affidavit, you can do exactly that. You can hold these people accountable. You can make it public. It's an official document, and you have the power to remove them lawfully. And if the sheriff or the police will not do this, then it's up to the people to form a posse of their own. We have the right, Declaration of Independence, when our government is abusing us and not doing what we want, we have the right to alter or remove it. So this time
Yes.
for us to start standing up and doing just that, because it is our right, it is our duty. And if we love America, if we love our state, if we love our freedom and we love our children and their future and hope and pray for a good one, then we better get off our butts and start standing up to this tyranny now and stop it before it's too late.
And you people in Lahaina, you people in Maui, and throughout
All
Hawaii
of you.
have seen the devastation that has been inflicted upon you by your own government. Okay? That's tragic. That's like the Israelis killing every Palestinian in sight,
Correct.
unopposed. No one's opposing them. There's no
Exactly.
army over. There's no Palestinian army. Well, here in America, there's no American army to stop the government from destroying and killing the people. So if you love your fellow man, if you love your family, if you love Lahaina, if you love Maui, take action against your killers, okay? And the ones who have murdered and slaughtered your own people. And you can do
Incinerated
that
children.
by and through the affidavit in vast numbers.
We can do
Now,
this.
it's up to you. It's up to you, folks. We tried to do this as soon as this happened in Maui. As soon as it happened in Lahaina, the next day, we got in touch with a massive amount of people over there to use the affidavit against government, and no one was interested. We hope the ones who are listening to this program through Michelle now are interested and work in large numbers to defeat the evil and restore goodness to Lahaina.
Remember, united we stand, divided we fall. Put your petty grievances and your opinions and your political aspirations or anything else aside and stand up for humanity. Okay? United we stand.
I love it. I love it. I totally agree. Okay, you guys, let's do a quick prayer. Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things. You've heard this interview, you know what's going on. And I'm just so grateful for Margie and for Jack Flynn and for their years of dedication to the Constitution and to the freedom, which is our unalienable rights, is to be free through you, Great Spirit. These unalienable rights from you that created us. We are free, we are sovereign, each one of us matters, and we are just so grateful for all the light beings who are taking action, who are seeing what needs to be done, who are being courageous and writing their affidavits, getting them notarized, sending them registered mail, getting them in, and then taking the next step to take these absolute thieves, these absolute thugs to court, and watching as they peaceably are removed from office, either through the court system or voluntarily leave, and then are 100% accountable for their actions. We get to watch as it unfolds, as we each take one step forward every single day of what is our kuleana, what is ours to do. So Great Spirit, we know that this is a game that we came to play, and we are so grateful that each one of us is being guided to do what is right, not what is easy, but what is right and what is right now. And we know that it is done. We see the absolute truth of what has unfolded and the murder of Lahaina. We see the truth being unveiled to all people, and that people are now ready to open up their hearts and to see what truly did happen there, and to stand for freedom and to stand for justice. And we know it is absolutely done. And we send this frequency of hope through all the world, through East Palestine on the mainland, which we have not forgotten about, to Palestine, to Israel, to Ukraine, to Russia, to China, to Yemen, all of it. We know that freedom is everywhere, and it is happening and is unfolding, and we send this frequency of light and of justice throughout the entire planet. And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, you guys. I'll see you next time, and let's talk about, let's let people understand what the government really is. I mean, I love that you talked about the Vatican and the city of London, which is not part of England, you guys, and DC, Washington, DC is not part of the United States. Let's talk about that next time. Much aloha and mahalo to you both.
Mahalo
well.
and much
Mahalo.
aloha to you.